What's up, guys? My name is Colin Moriarty. I'm senior editor of IGN. I'm here with David Ballard from Naughty Dog. He's a multiplayer developer at Naughty Dog. He's worked on the Uncharted games, and of course, he's worked on The Last of Us, and we're here to show you a little bit about each map in the game. He helped design these maps. He has some great insight in these maps, and of course, The Last of Us, I think, had a deceivingly awesome multiplayer focus that gave you kind of a supplement to the amazing single-player campaign. So, David, let's jump in. We're here at Lakeside. One of my favorite maps in the game, and let's go into some of the intricacies and the design philosophies.
Absolutely. So Lakeside is definitely a kind of a crowd favorite. Definitely one of my favorite maps. I'm, as a lot of people know, a big sniper, so it's got a lot of great sniping lanes and whatnot. Right off the bat, one of my first things I want to talk about is like the first thing I do every match. Just get back over here. First thing I do is just run out, and then just run straight to the middle. I just pass the lockbox. Don't even care. Just run out here. And then there's this one lane, and you can't really get a lot of like shots or anything, but you can get out here and you can see where people are going. And you can start marking and give your team a huge heads up as to where they're going, which is great for this map because this is a larger map. So when you run into the enemy, you don't want to be caught off guard. So if you can get up there and and be supportive and mark your team, mark your enemies, so your teammates know where to go and they can create their strategies on the fly. It really helps out a lot with the gameplay. Lakeside is one of the largest maps, if not the largest map. I think it is the largest map. It was the first map that was actually designed for the multiplayer, originally by Jonathan Stein, and artists being Jesse Warren and Anna Cho from the single player. We really wanted to create the from the single player experience, that sense, when I don't know, spoilers here, but when Ellie is in the Lakeside camp in single player, and we wanted to recreate that kind of vibe of people living here. Even though it's 20 years after the outbreak, here we are in this lived-in space. So a lot of really great sniper areas to get from.
Yeah, that specific lane gets really heated.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It seems like it's almost shaped like an L, or I guess a backwards L, right? If you're facing this way.
Actually, it's kind of a curve. It's kind of, you can see from here, goes back and then curves around and then up and around to.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, so there's a little area over where you kind of start. And I always find, I don't know if you guys have found this yourselves, but in the matches I've played, not too much action happens here, except for in the end game. Everyone seems to fall back over here.
Yeah. So, little behind the scenes. Originally, this wall was not here. This was the entrance. This was the gate to a barn, and the barn was the original base. And you'd start all the way back here. And what we found was that by the time players met each other, we were always down here, and there wasn't much action upstairs. So, we balanced it out, tried to add some more interesting gameplay and game flow of the map to create more interesting combat and interesting encounters. Encounter is very important in our game to make sure that when teams meet each other, then they can what we call fronts. They initiate what we call a front, where okay, I know where you are. How am I gonna now? I have to make a strategy. How am I going to interact with you? I have to know where my teammates are, know where your teammates are, and how am I going to best you? And am I going to create items? Am I going to have a battle with you? Am I going to trick you and come around and try and flank you? What's going to happen? So, this right here is actually these little closets are all throughout multiplayer, and the point of them is to allow you to come here and feel safe while you craft or something. So that way you're not in the open. I don't see a lot of people using them too often, but they're really just absolutely invaluable. I actually see a lot of people come up here and just be right here crafting, but then, as soon as somebody comes around a corner or even there, it's they see you. But
yeah, I mean, when I would play, I would you pass by that box, but I'd make a beeline of that box in front of the inn, and then take a right and try to get to one of these boxes over here. But this would always leave me vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Sometimes get shot up and then go into that closet and try to heal myself or take a breather or whatever. But it's kind of funny that you think about the game so much more action oriented than I was. I would use the collector advancements to build up the parts that I had for my score. I don't know why I was so obsessed with that.
Absolutely, and that's part of the strategy is to make sure that we give players tons of variety of gameplay styles. I'm a lot more very aggressive in my gameplay. A lot more defensive, a lot more passive. This is one of my little secret gems right here. Nice little sniper perch right through the window.
So are you guys, I mean, I've noticed this a little bit in the game. I haven't played online in a few weeks, but are you guys able to dynamically move around the toolkits that you guys screw around? Because I noticed that there used to be one in the truck, right? But it doesn't seem like it's there anymore.
Yeah, can update the locations of the boxes, and actually you'll definitely notice the difference between survivors and supply raid, and that's for to change up the gameplay styles and to. And the other really interesting thing that we do with lockboxes is create points of contention, right? We'll actually have, as you'll notice, like these, as you're saying, you'll make a beeline to these other boxes, but you know what? So does the other team. So these actually become, as you'll notice, hot points of combat, because now everybody's trying to fight over that box. So that's where all the goodies are, right? So there's a lot of combat in this little corner, which is really fun.
Yeah, what happens? So down here, probably in my match, is the least used part of the map, but some crazy stuff happens here once in a while, where people fall back, and there end up being 4-on-4 battles here sometimes. So what have you guys found in your game testing and just kind of observing the multiplayer maps from this little area?
Yeah, so every place has its purpose, right? And the point of the docks out here, on Lakeside, is to create places for people to flow. It's flow. It's about making people move. And if your team is getting really pinned down through the middle ways or something, or even up there, you can come up here and flank through on this on the docks, and this creates powerful positions that allow you to get the upper hand when when you've been on on the down kind of thing. As you see here, we have these defensive positions. These allow for sniper battles and for holding this entire lane. And the docks is just just a way to allow people to get up here in a quick manner. One of the problems we noticed early on is that having these, you'll notice especially here in Lakeside, this map has a downhill side and an uphill side, and it's very tough for people on the downhill side to get to the uphill side and have an encounter. So we have to do our best to make sure that everything's fair and everything's balanced, and that's another reason why we removed that barn.
And I don't know. I find obviously something like a Molotov is useful on every map, and I love using the Molotov. It's such probably the most satisfying weapon in the entire game. But I find the most useful on this map, especially on the other side of the map. There's all those perches with the houses and the upstairs, downstairs part of the houses, and you're kind of defending both sides of them. That combined with the smoke bomb, I've been finding super useful on this map for surprise kills on people. Because there seems to be a lot of lanes on the other side of the map where things kind of get a little heated, a little crazy along this particular corridor, where people are kind of sniping out the windows. There's nowhere to really hide if you want to go for some of the boxes over here and stuff like that. So you guys finding a lot of heated action on this side as well? Yeah,
and this particular lane is open to a lot of gunplay because of the lack of cover and whatnot, and that was done on purpose because each lane has kind of a different feel and a different vibe. This lane we have a lot more gunplay. Through the middle, you can come up here and fight through the side corridors over here, and then on the other side it's a lot more cover, so you can sneak up on people a lot easier. So
awesome. So anything else to show us on Lakeside, or shall we move on, Mr. Ballard?
Yeah, one thing I was note, this ladder is not used very often, but it's a great way to come inside to the into the lodge here to sneak up on enemies who are holed up inside, who are if they're down to the last few people, they kind of usually hold up.
Yeah, I know. I always retreat to the building when I'm the last one on my map, and it's usually not a good sign for me. I struggle when it's 3-on-1 or 4-on-1, but as I think most players do. But yeah, and I get a lot of satisfaction of shooting people on the ladder as they're climbing as well. If you're hiding behind the U-Haul thing over there in the corner.
I just want to talk a little bit about how the map changed as we were, iterating on it. And each of these maps had literally hundreds of edits and changes to them as we went through. But in the original map, I did mention that we originally had, the barn behind this gated area over here. Well, this building here was not originally base. He was not able to go into the inside. And there was actually, when we created it as the main base, we had a third floor up here, which is very interesting. And then also, huge change to the map that we changed was you were originally able to get on top of these buildings. All these buildings had rooftops that you would get onto, and there would be ladders that you would climb up to the top. And then this would be a power position where people would come up here to snipe. But the problem being that the views from up there would look over the entire map. And not only did it hinder us technically, but also it was just an overpowered position, and you could snipe people from anywhere.
Cool. So Yeah, Lakeside, still one of my favorite maps, even after the last recording when I said it was still my favorite map. Ballard, let's move on to the next map. Keep it tuned to IGN for more on The Last of Us.